Hi everybody, it's New Jersey Garden and it's March 21st and I hope everybody's staying healthy. I wanted to do a video showing you a couple things that are going on in the garden. First, these are peonies. I have several peony plants in this little garden bed here as well as in our front garden bed. And they start out with these red shoots that pop out of the ground. And it takes quite a while for them to bloom. Usually around Memorial Day they bloom. So it's still pretty cold today. It's around 50 degrees. The nights are still in the 30s and 40s, and the daytime temperatures are in the 50s in general, 40s and 50s. So it's still pretty cool out. And this, the last 2 summers, I have grown some things in a new garden bed that I started 2 years ago, and I'll show you that now. So this is a garden bed that I started a couple years ago to grow some annual flowers, and I expanded it last year. I just dug this out just with a shovel in my yard. This area faces southwest, so it's a pretty sunny spot. There's some trees overhead. As you can see, the leaves haven't come out yet on the trees here in New Jersey. I'm in northern central New Jersey, about an hour and 10 minutes west of New York City. And so I'm expanding this bed this year because I'm growing more vegetables than in the past. And I'm just using this, I don't know if it's called a pickaxe or what it is, but I'm using this to dig up the sod. I know there are other instruments you can use, other tools you can use to dig up just the top layer of the grass so you're not digging way into the sod, but I don't have that tool, so I'm just using this axe tool to dig up the sod and throw it in the wheelbarrow and toss it. And this year I'm going to be a little limited on supplies. I just have I have a half a bag of potting soil and then a couple bags of gardening soil. So normally I would probably amend the soil, at least when I do plantings. I don't really do a lot of tilling, but when I plant things I like to add some nutrients. So I'm just really limited on supplies this year. I don't want to go to the stores. I'm at home trying to stay safe, and I'm just going to be in my yard digging this out today, digging out more land. And then what I do, I'll show you what I did last year, or the last 2 years. I have these poles, these fiberglass poles that I put around the perimeter of the garden because I do have a big deer problem. That's our neighbor's house, and there's a lot of woods in the back. So the deer walk right through there into the woods. There's a nature preserve back there. So we have a big deer problem, and I used this fencing the last 2 years, and it worked out pretty well. I take these fiberglass poles, and I'll show you how I do it, but I put it around the perimeter of the garden, and then I use fishing line as like my lateral fencing. I don't have the money for like a mesh fence or wire fencing, especially not now. So I'm going to use the fishing line again. So I'm going to show you how I set it up. So in about 45 minutes time, I was able to clear more of the garden, and then my husband helped me nail in these stakes. I believe they are 6 feet tall stakes, and I think there's 13 of them so far around the perimeter of this garden bed. That's actually on the ground. That's pumpkin from last fall. We just threw it into here as the pumpkin was rotting. We just threw it into the ground. So as you can see, I have expanded the bed quite a bit, and we just need to clear the sod and dump that. And then my next step is I'm going to be putting fishing line around around these poles to work as a fence. It does work to deter deer. The key is to use clear fishing line, 30-pound monofilament line, and I only have, I believe my let's go take a walk over here. I think my fishing line is like a blue color and a green color, so it's really not ideal. You really should have clear fishing line. But what I'm going to do first is clean up some of this old line that was left on there from last fall. I didn't totally cut this out, so I'm going to clean this up, cut off all the old strands, and then restring, and then I'll show you when it's all done. So I've been working about an hour and a half, and I have about a third of the fencing done. I've been putting fishing line about 6 strands horizontally between each pole. I don't know if you can see the fishing line there. Ideally you want to use clear fishing line so the deer can't see it and they'll get spooked and back off. As I said, I have a really big deer problem. Last summer this worked really well. There were a couple cases where they tried to break in, and I immediately fixed the line. I was able to restring some of the line, and during windy days and storms, sometimes the line will get a little loose, so I have to tighten it or I have to restring it sometimes. But overall it's pretty low maintenance, and it did work for me last summer. The only thing that's tricky is I need to put a door. Last summer I had this little narrow entryway here. This year it's a little wider, and I'll have to figure out what to do for a doorway so that I can get in. Ideally, I'd like to have raised beds, with some aisles in between them. But this summer I'm just going to plant as much as I can in this space, using the seeds that I have, and maybe next summer I'll be able to put in raised beds. But this summer there's just a lack of resources and money. So and also with the mulching, you can see half of it was mulched last summer. We spent a lot of money on mulch at the end of last season because we hadn't mulched in 4 years and everything was getting very weedy in our gardens. So we put down a lot of mulch, including this garden bed here. And this portion of the bed that was just dug out is just not going to be mulched. We just don't have the money for mulch, and I don't want to go to the store to get mulch. I just don't want to even go out to get, I don't even want to go to Home Depot or Lowe's or anywhere to get anything. I want to stay inside or outside in my own yard. So I'm just going to be doing a lot more weeding in this area where there's no mulch, but that's okay. And this summer what I'm growing are peas and Swiss chard, lettuce, 2 types of beans, pole beans, and what else did I say? Peas, sugar snap peas, and some squash. I'm growing some squash as well, and I guess that's it. And of course I love growing flowers, so I'll be growing the flowers as usual. But this is the vegetable bed. It definitely is bigger than last year. Oh, and cucumbers. I'm growing cucumbers as well. 2 different kinds of cucumbers. So it should be exciting once the weather gets a little warmer. Right now it's not even time to plant the peas yet. I'll be able to plant them in a couple weeks, and it's just still really cool out. And but I'm excited that the bed is getting ready to plant. So I hope everyone is staying safe, and I hope everyone is able to get outside in their yards and do a little gardening. It's very therapeutic, and especially with the warmer weather coming, it's nice to get outside in your yard. And you can follow me along as I continue with this vegetable garden bed as well as my flowers. Thank you so much for watching.